Lastly, though, we're talking about observations on American culture today, and I want to go to someone who has cast his glance at American culture,
his gimlet eye
from abroad. The Alexis de Tocqueville of the modern era.
He literally thinks of himself.
Yeah, no, I know
he wrote a book explicitly making that comparison.
I'm talking, of course, about Bernard Henri Levy.
Mr. Too Damn Open Collar.
Bernard Henri Levy, if you're not familiar, is a incredibly full of shit French public intellectual, a self-described public intellectual who's mainly known for never buttoning his shirt up and showing off his bird-like chest to anyone.
Like the French like to look down on America because we really don't have those guys for the most part. And exactly. You can own any of them by saying, if that is what a public intellectual is, no thanks. I'll take fucking Terry Bradshaw talking about this week's fucking lineup of games on NFL Sunday over that guy as our version of a public intellectual.
He's he considers himself a defender of liberal society, but of course he has not met a single U.S.-backed military intervention that he didn't back. He supported the Libya intervention after the Iraq War.
He thought it was going to be a great idea. He talked to Hillary Clinton about it, helped convince her to convince Obama to do it, and then they brought slavery back. So well done, everyone.
So can I interest you in a Bernard Henri Levy one-man show currently being seen at the Public Theater in New York?
Wait a minute, this is in New York?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, we're getting tickets. No price too high for this.
Can I interest you, though, in a review of French public intellectual and Alexis de Tocqueville wannabe Bernard Henri Levy's one-man show called Looking for Europe, reviewed by young James Kirchick?
Ooh. I normally would be worried with spoilers since I absolutely will be seeing this, but it's Jamie Kirchick. How can you not read a Jamie Kirchick
This
column?
is Jamie Kirchick writing in tablet. Looking for Europe, Finding America Adrift. Bernard Henri Levy's one-man show, Looking for Europe, makes for the case for America better than most Americans ever do. Sometimes it takes
because it doesn't have Bernard Henri Levy in it.
Sometimes it takes a foreigner to remind you of America's promise and potential. This is certainly one of those times.
Mm-hmm.
Watching Bernard Henri Levy perform his one-man, one-night only show. Oh no! Oh no! Wait, how can it be a one-man show if he's only doing it one night? That's just a lecture.
Yeah.
Watching his one-night only show, Looking for Europe.
Can you imagine the crowd at that thing? Whew.
Yeah,
just gave myself
a lot
the
of Bernard cosplayers, people showing up with the shirt unbuttoned, just the two bottom buttons done, and then everything just like He-Man, just wafting open.
The scalpers out front.
Yeah.
I got two.
So he said, when I saw BHL perform his one-man, one-night only show, Looking for Europe, Monday night at the Public Theater, I thought I witnessed the flash of Thomas Jefferson. It wasn't only the perfectly coiffed bouffon permanently sported by the celebrity French intellectual, which precipitated this momentary sense.
Wait a minute. Is he saying that Bernard Henri Levy has a wig? Because that's sort of the big thing about those dudes. They love wigs.
That wasn't Thomas Jefferson's actual hair.
Yeah.
Precipitated this momentary sense of synthesis with the most francophile of the American founders.
Not the only kind of file he was.
Felix isn't here, but I know that's what he would be chiming in with. Over the course of an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No theater should be longer than 90 minutes.
Levy made the case for America, its meaning, its values, its purpose in the world better than most Americans ever do. Will be a way of coming together around the love of flag, of a constitution.
Who amongst us does not enjoy the NASCAR?
And basically an idea. Okay, I'm not going to do the French accent anymore.
You just imagine it in your
mind. Just imagine
house.
it. Levy
every word is in that voice.
Levy proclaimed, the Americans represent everything that the European advocates of the nation rooted in soil, race, and blood detest. Less and less so, Bernard, I say.
Yes, we're kind of coming around on those ideas.
I don't know if you noticed who's president right now.
Also, they were all there. The whole time.
Exactly.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah, and then Jamie says, alas, there are many Americans who share this conception of the nation, and they happen to be in power. Oh, okay, thanks for acknowledging that, Jamie. Maybe you can vote for Trump again in 2020. But Looking for Europe is the latest version of a show Levy originally performed at Sarajevo's National Theater in 2014 called Hotel Europe. and has since presented in Odessa, Venice, Paris, and London, among other places.
I really hope that it was presented in the form of a farce where each character was in a different room representing a ruling ideology of Europe over the last several centuries. They all came out and tried to solve the murder of a butler or something.
This is also really funny for Kerchik, of course, who is mainly a partisan of Israel and America.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what defines the limits of his politics, is what party in power can do the most for Netanyahu's government. And he's holding up this banner of we believe in liberty as an ideal more than race or soil or tradition. This must be inconvenient for him at a time when Netanyahu is literally shaking hands and cozying up with Viktor Orban in Hungary
and legally defining Israel as an ethno-state. Oops.
Levy, who in 2006 barnstormed across our fruited plain to produce the rollicking travelogue American Vertigo. God, just imagine him just smelling his own, smelling his farts in a wine glass and going, oui, oui, this farts I smell and notes of a Thomas Jefferson shit.
Yeah, that book was absolutely destroyed in a review by Garrison Keillor of all people. It's a great review, and when you get just owned by that fucking snooze. That guy who spent the last 30 years nose whistling into a microphone on NPR, and he just goes beast mode on you. That's how bad you fucked up.
Garrison Keillor can write though, and when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
And I remember that review. It was fantastic because, he is a guy who has been channeling the middle American Minnesota ethos to have this French asshole come in and try to do his polite musings on American culture is just vomitous. So he says. Bernard BHL is unabashedly pro-American in the best sense, in that he admires the idea of America, even when the country fails, as it often does and is doing, to live up to its promise.
America fails, but its drone program never does.
America is Europe, saved and relaunched, Levy declared. So America's the save point that Europe did before it fucked up the two world wars. If only they could just go back to that restart point and then fast travel to the Treaty of Versailles. So an inveterate name dropper, Levy recalled his relationship with the socialite and former American ambassador to Paris, Pamela Harriman, in whose residence he watched, alongside NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Wesley Clark and the diplomat Richard Holbrooke, the NATO planes saving Sarajevo at last.
Jeez, this motherfucker could consider that name dropping. Was it the Patricia Harraflan?
If Levy cannot countenance the nationalist xenophobic right, so too is he fed up with the increasingly illiberal and parochial left. When Levy and his comrades manned the barricades of Paris in 1968, "We are all German Jews" was their rallying cry of solidarity with the world's oppressed. Today, he bemoans, the agenda of the Western left is all about terroir and local cheeses. What the fuck is he talking about? The agenda of the Western left is about local cheeses? I think he's thinking about
I love a good camembert. I think he's talking about sort of the idea that I think that the left is just defined by sort of hostility to monoculture, like we were talking about. And, the idea to have artisanal local stuff. And once again, he's probably if you're talking about a certain strain of urban liberalism, that's probably true. But once again, that's just the people he hangs out with.
I'm mostly interested in the mouthfeel of today's left.
Envisioning a morally upended future where a President Marion Maréchal Le Pen entombs the ashes of Vichy collaborator Philippe Pétain in the Hotel des Invalides.
Wait a minute.
Didn't that just happen?
He didn't do that, but Macron did fucking honor Pétain.
That's true.
He did it. His guy did that.
So keep in mind that Kerchik is describing this as a fascinating and really entertaining show. Levy asked, hypothetically, why the remains of de Gaulle, Lloyd Byron, and Winston Churchill should not be removed from their places of national honor, and whether America ought not return John McCain to Hanoi.
Good. That'd be awesome.
That would rule.
They should fucking. I hope they didn't fucking cremate him, because they should put his ass as an animatronic bear at the fucking Hanoi Chuck E. Cheese, who comes every hour and apologizes in a song playing a banjo for fucking murdering those people.
Next spring, imagine watching this shit, a one-man show featuring this unbearably pretentious asshole name dropping General Wesley Clark and be like, this is what America is about. This guy sees America more than the actual people who live here. Next spring, in the run-up to the European Parliament elections, Levy plans to take his show on the road to 20 European cities. It will be challenging territory. Hoping to capitalize upon the recent advances they have made in national parliaments, right-wing populist parties across Europe are expected to increase their presence in the body. At their side will be Steve Bannon, freed from Trump's employ to wreak his mad vision upon the old continent. If Levy sticks to custom and rewrites the script for each locale, addressing the local personalities and idiosyncrasies of Berlin to Budapest, it will be an impressive feat. To be honest, that sounds like what we do when we're on the road for Chapo Tramp House. Give a little local flavor from Pittsburgh to Minneapolis.
This motherfucker honestly thinks that what's going to stem the tide of neo-fascism fascism in Europe is this fucking dingus, this bare-chested, pretentious dickhead, this guy who's just like a combination of like Charlie Rose and Madeleine Albright wandering around Europe and being like, no, we are better than this. That is the most delusional thing I think I've ever heard. More so than Hillary running in 2020. This is breathtaking.
Okay.
This is how, just think of how fucked liberalism is.
Yeah.
How utterly
These are the avatars.
Yeah.
It is completely collapsed. It has no popular legitimacy. And the only ideas these people have for getting it back is, well, I will go before them, before the richest of them, of course, who can afford to see my marcher, and I will remind them of liberty. And then they will not be fascist anymore. It's like, we're fucking doomed. Because honestly, what's terrifying about this is that, like, right now, they literally are the only thing standing between us and the resurgent right, because the left is still too fucking weak.
I just want to underscore again that both BHL and Jamie Kirchick were huge supporters of the Iraq War and still are to this day.
Of course.
I mean, they're in favor of, basically...
Yeah. Every military adventure that just laid a fucking wrecking ball to the Middle East and unleashed all kinds of horrors across the entire world.
And Henri Levy and Kirchick, of course, did it because they're such good liberals. And they wanted to bring
because they
freedom
love the values. The values. They need to be exported.
They wanted to bring the idea of America to Baghdad, Libya, and Yemen.
The depleted uranium values. Of the West needed to be exported.
This honestly reminds me of the thing from the other week where Frum debated Bannon on the values of liberalism and converted the audience to Bannon's point of view.
I joked about this. Apparently, the Monk debates fucked up the voting on this.
Oh, great.
And they did like...
The PricewaterhouseCooper guys didn't
This is what Frum is claiming and his supporters. I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm willing to print the legend and say that David Frum is such an unappealing worm that he convinced a room full of people who were once sympathetic with him just to become open fascists, just by dint of how awful he is.
Yes, and
so they're saying that he actually won the debate or whatever. I don't fucking care one way or the other.
Yeah,
I really don't.
No. It doesn't matter. That's all a jack off anyway. Like, who's going to this fucking debates to watch these moldering cretins talk to each other? It's just people who literally have nothing better to do with their lives.
No. So here's the final paragraph. It's all been leading to this because this is maybe the most concentrated paragraph of pure brain cancer that I think I've maybe come across as yet doing this show.
Feed it to me.
And we've done a lot of it. So be prepared. Get the chemotherapy ready if you're listening to this. And keep in mind that Kirchick, again, is talking about how rapturous and entertaining and amazing this was. And like, this is the future of liberty and liberal values. Okay. The play's most inspired moment comes at the end when envisioning a political union of America and Europe dubbed Euramerica.
Euramerica World Police would be a good name for it, actually.
Levy lists the members of his dream cabinet. John Locke and Rosa Parks would be placed in charge of human rights. Okay, I could see one problem. I mean, this is a dream cabinet in that it's, I guess, going by dream logic and rules.
We're all having dinner, and I'm not wearing pants, and my teeth are dissolving out of my mouth.
This is like the games Bernard Henri Levy plays when he's at a dinner party with Wesley Clark and Jimmy Savile or whoever he was hanging out with back in the day. He's like, I want to your dream a guest party of anyone who is alive or dead or fictional. And it's like, who would you invite to come see my one-man show?
These ideas, I got them from the great Bernard Pivot and James Lipton.
I ask you, Jamie Jaime Kroschek, if God is real and you meet him, what would you want him to say to you?
That the Iraq War was a good idea.
So, okay. John Locke and Rosa Parks.
Your teeth are not too big for your face.
Tony Stark as Minister of Defense.
Of course.
John Locke and Rosa Parks would be placed in charge of human rights. I wonder how the real John Locke would feel about sharing an office of power with Rosa Parks.
He probably wouldn't be too cool with it, I got to tell you.
That's interesting. Okay, you ready? Lin-Manuel Miranda to head the Department of Education. What, no John the Son appointment?
That one hurts. Barney the Dinosaur.
Jan Karski and Woodrow Wilson to take the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Woodrow Wilson, the guy who literally was maybe one of the worst American presidents of all time.
He would have had. He would definitely have a problem with Rosa Parks sitting at the same table at those cabinet meetings.
Team of rivals.
Yeah. Woodrow Wilson, like the guy who literally League of Nations,
that was a huge success. There was never a war after that.
It was big success in his foreign affairs, getting America involved in World War I, and literally paving the way for World War II.
Yeah, no, it worked great.
He was a great.
He couldn't even get his own country to join the League of Nations.
He was a great leader and great American president.
John Karski was some fucking Georgetown professor.
Who
so,
gives a
of
shit?
course, he probably knew him or something.
Okay. Woodrow Wilson will take the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, while Pussy Riot and Sylvia Beach, the American expat who founded the world-famous Shakespeare and Company bookshop along the Seine, assume the women's rights portfolio, and Salman Rushdie is put in charge of secularization. What is that? What would that actually entail? Salman Rushdie just going around and just grabbing women's headscarves off and being like, "Hey,
it's him.
Hey, I'm Salman Rushdie, everybody."
After every girl in a Muslim household in Europe reaches a certain age, they get a visit from Salman Rushdie.
He's like Santa Claus,
and he makes them his wife for a week.
Salman Rushdie is put in charge of secularization, and then he concludes by saying, "Yes, a fantasy, but these are fantastical times."
All the liberal heroes come in for a huge party.
And I'm like, Jamie, is this what your imagination is like? Is this literally what you fantasize about? Is this the art and culture, again, that you want to see extant in the world? Is this unbelievably boring dipshit just play the dinner party game about this is my liberal ooh, we're bringing Woodrow Wilson back and the League of Nations will be a success now.
Yeah, he just pounds off to the idea of having brunch with Dean Acheson. But that's an amazing way to end the paragraph or the thing, because they're actually saying, now you don't even have to infer it, they're saying there's no power here, there's no popular legitimacy, we're literally just talking to each other as a very small group of wealthy elite liberals, no connection to any sort of popular constituency. All we have left is to retreat into our brain like in Brazil and pretend that we could resurrect this dying liberal order. They're admitting the total impotence of their ideology and its insipid destruction.
In Jamie's fantasy, Woodrow Wilson will now be screening the film Waiting for Superman at the White House rather than his old film series. So yeah, that
and again, it is history written in code.
Was his goal to take this on the road to the nations of Europe?
Yes,
yes.
Present this to the Polish people and have them be like, oh damn, Woodrow Wilson was cool. Yeah, I guess I'm not embracing this authoritarian turn anymore.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for the members of the Babi Yar Reenactment Society to sit down and watch this and be like, you know what? Maybe the Jews are okay.
So
grim times, folks.
Again, whether it's Cheesecake Factory or literally one of the world's most insufferable bullshit artists, literally telling you about his dream dinner parties, this is Western civilization. I hope you're happy with all the wars we've fought to supposedly defend it. And
you can't even fucking make the Yeats quote. You can't say the best lack all conviction, because under no circumstances are these people the best of anything. The mediocre are having fantasy dinner parties while the worst are filled with passionate intensity. That's where we are now. Wow.
So imagine that one-man show.
The left
God.
better fucking get its shit together,
Yeah, we
man.
really.
Holy fuck. Because the center has absolutely collapsed. And the only thing that can beat these fucking jackals is the left.
At least we've cheesecake.
Yeah.
Indeed.
At least we've wontons and PF Chang's.
Yep.